Hello and welcome to Teaching Doing Teaching. I am doing something new with this series. Even though I only have three other videos teaching after just waking up, but I'm not going to do those anymore. What I'm going to do now, I have a little heart candy. I am going to be following a new player, relatively new player, and I'm also going to be following a 20 to 10 and also someone that is in the range of 4Q and 9Q. So I'm going to be following three different people. I only have one person that I'm following right now, and that is the new player, jojoUK. So if you are a 10 to 20 or a 4 to 9 and want to be part of this, let me know, because I am trying to find a larger range in ranking for the videos instead of just the first steps into Dawnhood. And we will figure out a schedule that works and see what happens from there. It will probably last for 5 months, 4 to 5 months, because then I'm going to have a big thing happen in my life, and we'll just have to see what happens from there, because there's the possibility of me having a little bit more time to continue with this and all of the other series that I do, or there is the possibility of me taking 2 years off from Go to do some things and then be back without a huge time of 2 years like that again afterwards. So let's go ahead and look at this game from jojoUK. And he is on right now too. Yeah, you were really close. That was really close. Although there were a few things that could have been handled, so you would have actually been ahead by a lot more. But I will talk about that. Alright. So you are playing as black in this game, and the opponent doesn't have a rank either. But that's fine. That's fine. But both of you were still beginners, so that works out just fine. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's not a bad opening. I'm not too many problems with it, because black does have two enclosed corners, and having enclosed corners keeps and makes for really strong groups. White's group on the bottom left is okay. D14 leaves black to decide if he wants to go for the top or the left, but that's still okay. Opening overall is alright. I probably won't go too much into the opening, just so I don't overwhelm you with too much. But I do want to mention that you do not want 2, 3, 4 stones facing each other. Now, do you understand what I mean when stones are facing each other? Okay, so like with Q17, it is facing downwards, and with the bottom facing upwards. So the reason why that this is not a reasonable, or, well, it is reasonable, but why it's not as much of a good idea is because white can easily approach into the corners, probably maybe something like these, and be able to get quite a bit of potential on that right side. And this is just one possibility. There are bajillion other possibilities. But the reason why that's bad is because these two stones, the black two stones, they're saying that they want the right side. And if you don't understand that part, that's okay. I don't expect you to if you don't. But we can go into more detail about it at a later time, but try not to have two stones facing each other. Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. So we can go for the 4-4 or in the other direction. Okay, that's fair. That's okay. I would recommend either A or B. Preferably A. Have at least one 4-4 stone if you have a 3-4 stone. At least for new players. So it's because playing at 2 3-4 stones is okay. It's just a little. It's not as easy to comprehend as having at least one 4-4 stone. Because with 4-4 stones, you're able to experience a lot more with fighting. So, yeah, try to go with at least one 4-4 stone and see where that takes you. And alright. And I do not know if you know this shape, but this, do you know about the Low Chinese and High Chinese? Okay. So, and that's okay. That's okay. Both of the Chinese are, it consists of a 4-4 stone with a 3-4 stone that's facing it, and a stone either at R11 or Q11. Low, there's not too big a difference between the low and the high, but both of them want your opponent to invade. So let's say white plays here. Or, no, let's go with here. Let's say, actually, no, let's stay with the high. Let's say white plays here. And white and black protects from the top to push out, as well as threaten to surround white. White jumps out. Exactly, yeah. Just what you said. It is already in a pincer. And because it's already in a pincer, you are able to chase it out, as well as being able to profit from it. Like, let's say this happened. You can see how the bottom is clearly being built, and white still has that group to worry about. Or if this happened, it's still the same way. Either way, white still has to run out, and whenever you are able to chase your opponent, you will always benefit. Okay? And even if they're able to escape, that's still okay, because you're still gaining out of it. So that is one idea of the Chinese, to have your opponent invade so you can build off of it. And it'll take some practice of playing the Chinese to understand more into it with detail. So I'm just going to leave with that for the two Chinese. And with the high, it's still basically the same thing. Now, the other thing I do want to throw out here for the opening is the Kobayashi. Do you know about the Kobayashi? Okay, that's fair. It typically usually works if you have these two stones as they are, with the 3/4 stone facing a 4/4 stone, although the Q4 stone can be in any position, but typically 4/4, and simply just these two things, as long as D16 is on the 4/4 or at C16. As long as it's at one of those two spots, this will work. So the Kobayashi is approaching the stone along the 3/4 stone. White backs off, and black plays the star point. This shape right here is Kobayashi, and it has the same exact purpose as the Chinese, to have your opponent invade so you can benefit from it. Like if white were to come in here, you can pincer it and you will be building down here, as well as having a group to chase, because you have the K16 stone there able to be used to help surround the white stone. And this also just takes practice to play through and get a feeling for it. So I won't go into too much detail about that either. But those are two things that you can definitely think about if you don't know what to play in the opening, like you had mentioned when I was bringing up the 2, 3, 4 stones facing each other. And it definitely is a possibility for white to play a pincer, but you should be okay even that way, because you can go for the corner just fine. And do you know this jojoUK as well? And that's okay. That is definitely okay. This is the most common jojoUK. Okay, that's good. So this is the first jojoUK that I would teach anyone. It is the most common thing that will happen. So, I probably, for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and leave it with that. You can take a look at it on your own time if you want. But at a later time, maybe in a week or two, I can, or just whenever the next time we do this, I can definitely go through punishing wrong moves, how to punish those, and so forth. Or we can talk about it in the game that you do after this. But I want to focus more on how the game went than other than all of these different things. Okay, so you came here, good direction, because of the direction that these two stones are facing, but it's probably too deep. Let's see, what did white play? Exactly, yeah, just like what white played. Okay. And K3 is also a really good to move. As for E17, that is too far in. Just like with what I had mentioned with the right and jojoUK, white can, well, even with what white had done, white can push black, white can pincer black, and with this, black will need to run out, and that still can cause problems for black. Because of shape, because of being surrounded, and being able to build out. So you could just go with K17, maybe H17, maybe even this. But the reason why I mentioned these is because if white were to try playing here, you can make a 2-space jump. If you can do a 2-space jump, it is most likely that you will be okay. Kind of like that. So when you are playing, yeah, okay. And when you play a move, try to imagine being able to play a 2-space jump in both directions. If you can do that, you should be okay. Alright? Otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, white can keep pushing black and get this huge wall. And it wouldn't be very nice for black. That's okay. This turned out okay. And this is actually in an okay spot, because you can go 2 spaces in both directions. You're able to run out, or there is a large knight. So this is actually a really nice spot to play for an invasion. The attachment was bad though, for white, because do you know the idea of attached stones? Attaching a stone. Exactly, it makes it stronger. So let's say, just simply that. It makes both sides stronger. So it's actually really good that you know that. Cool. And this is this is actually a really nice turnout for black. Even though they're definitely, yeah, I thought, yeah, that's definitely still okay. We will figure things out with time. I mean, although you are welcome. Even though you, with this move, saying that you would sacrifice the E17 stone, that's pretty big. It's a pretty big stone to give up. However, with this kind of development, probably this instead, you are getting quite the moyo here, and it's looking really nice for black. And this cut could be possible at a later time. So this kind of development, plus having some potential with D9, definitely a good position for black in this game. But this definitely leads to some trouble. Especially with, you do a lot of knight moves. The knights. And typically those aren't good shape moves. I mean, in the corners, they definitely work. They are definitely corner solid moves, solid enclosure moves. But when it comes to the sides, it leaves potential. It leaves Aji that white could possibly throw out there, just like with this. So a lot of moves were used. Sacrificed 2 moves for no reason, and white has some moves to reduce this potential moyo. Does that make sense for you? Okay. And sure, this does leave a little bit of potential, but it is definitely a lot more solid, and white can't easily just break through into there. So try to play less knights moves and do a single space jump. Um, let's see, how else did things go? Probably could just do a Hane here and fight this out. Because white doesn't necessarily have good liberties, but you're able to do something here. But it's still going to be hard. So less knights moves. And yeah, G9 got rid of the potential that white had, that black had on the left side. Playing out here is huge. Definitely want to play something out here. Probably the biggest thing on the board right now, unless you wanted to play Q10. Alright. As for the biggest moves and direction of play, I won't go into too much detail about that either, but we want to, we can see that white's only territory, potential territory, is this whole left side. If you were to live in here, then white probably should resign, because white will have two smaller corners. Okay? So try thinking of that with, if you already have stones out here like D9. Because after F9, it makes it a little harder for black to do something like this. Let's see. These are okay. That move, though, probably not as much. Definitely a good idea, though. Actually, yeah. This didn't turn out too well. So G9 is likely not the right move to do. So again, either D10, Q10, or if you want to really build up, you could play maybe here, or here, play a large knight, and start building up on this side. But you definitely had a lot of cutting points, cutting shape, and that didn't lead to a very good potential for black. You could play here, and this basically could be the same exact potential for black as well, because you can cut. There is some possibility of doing this, but it would be okay because you're building this, and I'm just blabbing on about all of these other things. But simply just playing something out here instead. I mean, this is definitely a good move to, like, if white did something else. You definitely could play E11 or D11 to do something with the left side. That is definitely a possibility. But you always want to have a purpose for moves. So G9, there aren't too many purposes for that. Try to stay simple. So either that, one of those, or something on the side, or an extension up here. Just doing something simple to build territory. Just think about building up that territory. Alright, let's get more into the middle game. Another move that could be made is here. Yeah, you do a lot of knight's moves. I will forbid you from knight's moves. And that's okay. That is definitely okay. And I will definitely do what I can to help you with that. But go ahead and do Hanes. I forbid you from doing knight's moves. Alright. There's definitely a lot of weakness and potential for your opponents to do something if you do too many knight's moves. Kind of like the G14, G15 stones. Let's see. Although this was okay, because white worried too much about those stones. Those are pretty small compared to what you had done up there. Although you did use a lot of moves to make good shape, so that is another thing. You could threaten here first. No, probably not that. Probably just simple Hane. And if white does that, you can sacrifice it while building up quite a bit on the right side. Because right now, you want to try focusing on building that right side. Because if you get that whole thing, as well as doing something with the D9 stone, then you should definitely be ahead. Yeah, this didn't work. Definitely need to play J17 instead. Let's see, what happened in the game? You did that. What you could do first is play here, because it's still Sente. And then possibly play out here. Because then you get that K14 stone. So if you make a mistake like this, try to benefit from it. Like that last moment Atari against those two stones. Doing something like that, it'll help you to at least get something out of mistakes. And there's a lot of hopeful thinking too with F17, because this actually isn't a threat. White is not in Atari, and black only has one liberty left. White could play elsewhere and still be okay. Like, if white did that, can easily just capture. And this shouldn't be alive either. So, probably not... Yeah, just, there's not anything that black can do with that. So, instead of playing there, what you could do is play here first and take Sente, or you can just take Sente right now to play elsewhere. Let's say... maybe here. I know I said to forbid you from knight's moves, but... actually, let's just go with this then. Just single jump. Single jump. Because this should be okay. Actually, here. I forbid you from knight's moves on the sides. In the middle, sure. Unless you're running. But otherwise, go ahead and do knight's moves. Just not on the sides. So, like, maybe like that. And fix that shape. And you've got a nice solid side. The whole right side could be yours. And you can fight this out and really threaten white. But you're still going to be gaining quite a bit, and you can still build up on the left side. So you definitely have a huge advantage in this game if you had taken the Sente to another direction. Try to keep thinking about Sente and Gote. Those are huge those play huge roles in Go. Alright, these are okay. I would say that that little area is probably too small. I mean, what you did does work as threats to save a stone, but it also leaves you in Gote. So try reading ahead 5 moves, 3 to 5 moves, if not more, and see if you end up in Gote. Try not to end in Gote, unless it's something big like this. And I don't consider this a knight's move because it's technically doing that. And that's okay. That's definitely okay. But you can definitely work on that. Go ahead and try. Just imagine what you're... Okay, that works. That works. Yeah, just use 1 or 2 moves ahead, thinking about that, and see if you end in Gote or not. If you do, then see if you can get a bigger move in Gote instead of something smaller in Gote. Because like in this game, this L9 move is pretty big while you try to save and get a little better shape with the top. But if you instead played here, then when you are building up even more potential and on the right side, as well as making it harder for your opponent to invade on that side, but it also is making it harder for white to play here. Let's say white wanted to play here. Well, actually, it still works because of the shape that black's in right now. But it makes it a lot easier for black with make the bigger Gote move. You don't want to take the smaller piece of lasagna. You want to take the bigger piece of lasagna. Take the bigger piece. Let's see. H2 is a good idea. I thought you would have commented about... Oh, but you remember he wasn't playing the moves you expected. And that's okay. There's always going to be an opponent that plays something that you weren't expecting. But with time, that'll definitely develop, and it'll turn out. I'll go ahead and explain a little bit more about the potential H2 moves create. Because this is a good move for black to do. Even though probably would be better to do something on the right side. Because the right side is really big right now. As well as doing something with that, again, with the left side. I can never stop bringing up that left side. But with this, like if you were to just play K2, probably better to just play J2 here instead. But the potential that H2 comes with is interesting. So let's say white plays this Hane. Black comes and cuts white to threaten capturing the J2 stone. If white takes the Atari, black can threaten to push through, as well as still being able to play K2, therefore reducing a little more, as well as still making that K2 stone like you had previously done. So compared to that, well, technically here it can still happen, but let's say nah, I can't think of a better example to represent that. But just keep in mind of the potential that you can build out of this. If white were to play this, you can play out here. And you can probably live in the corner, which would also be huge. Or you can keep pushing this down. No, probably not a good idea. Here we go. Still same idea. Still the same idea. But yeah, just simply if white were to do this, then yeah, definitely works for black. Definitely what most would do as higher keys. With this, try to cut through like this and see what happens in your games. Let's see. And instead of there, go ahead and make the Atari. Go ahead and do that. There's no need to play L5. There's no need. Because black has 2 liberties to be able to connect, so there's no worries there. You could continue to build up again on the right side or the left side. These are the 2 top things to think about in the game right now. L5 is way too small. Like, up here brings out a little more potential instead of L5. L5, are you able to tell the difference with that? With how L5 isn't needed and how small it is? That's okay. That's okay. We will, with time, that'll eventually help. But that's okay if you don't understand. Well, actually, when you played this move, what were you thinking? Were you thinking about the cuts or building up? Partly the cut, okay. But also some eyes. Okay. I can understand that. And some defense on the bottom. That's okay. I understand where you're coming from. Well, let's do a little game here. Let's say black came up here. Actually, no. Let's go ahead and instead play it up here. What what can white do? What if you were white, what would you play if you knew that you wanted to do something with that bottom area, or if you wanted to cut? As white, what would you do? Exactly. So if you wouldn't dare, then why would your opponent? If you're both new players, I don't know if new players would want to go in something like that. Okay. And okay. Let's see. If I remember correctly, he attached here at later in the game. Is that what he did? That's fair. That is definitely fair. Here, let's see really quick how he attached to the bottom here. Oh, he pushed through. Okay. So he didn't necessarily attach to any stones, he just pushed through because of some open space. So back with this. Oh, at the beginning. Well, middle at the beginning, yeah. This? Wait, no, you said that he attached... Oh, so what was this one? Is this what you were talking about? Okay. Oh, so you were... okay, so that's good. That's a good thing that you're thinking about his style. That you saw that he attached to this stone like this, and you didn't want him to attach or do anything like he did on the bottom. Okay, that is fair. That is definitely fair. And that's okay. It happens. It definitely happens. Um, and that's understandable. Like, if someone were to poke me, like this attachment stone, I have my bubble. I don't like it when people poke me or anything unless it's a close friend. So I definitely understand. Um, oh, don't worry. I am huge with metaphors. I used to be huge with metaphors, and I'm trying to get back into it to help me get back into teaching as well. Especially my lasagna metaphors. I love bringing those up. Because it helps me. It helped me when I was first starting to play, and as I progressed, to be able to find metaphors, because it helped me to see the board a little more. Like, who would run in front of a bus? No one would run straight in front of a bus. You want to leave a little space in front of the bus so you don't get hit by the bus. That sort of thing. um, so actually, sticking with that idea, if you are you are paranoid that he attached to the stone. If, let's say that you are also one of those people that have a bubble when it comes to poking. If someone were to poke you, would you do something about it? Like, would you walk away, or would you move elsewhere? Or do absolutely nothing and just continue doing what you are doing, such as H17? Okay, you would run away. So you want to stick to the idea and go ahead and run away. You want to stick to the problem at hand instead of going elsewhere. Is that helpful for you? If something bothers you, go ahead and keep to the idea. Alright. So that is... well, thinking like that definitely makes a little more clear as to why you played the L5, wherever it was. There it is. So I get where you're coming from with this now, along with all the other things that you had mentioned. But with that left side, you definitely want to keep to the idea instead of just letting it happen. If you do not like it, do something about it. Alright. So, let's think back to this, then. Let's see. Actually, another thing, if you're worried about the cut, you could play here. Although, if at higher rankings, they probably wouldn't respond to this, but this definitely could be a possibility to prevent the cut or feeling worried about a cut. Yes, that's right. I was going to mention about the eye as well. Thank you for reminding me about that. So, okay, well, I'm a huge Mario person, so, okay. So, let's start a little smaller then. M7. Let's try M6. It's still kind of the same idea as L5. It's just a diagonal move. So there's nothing that white can really do to this group. I mean, white can try to come in through here. Actually, no. Let's say that. Let's just say that it's like this. Let's say that it's like this. And all white can really do on the bottom is something like that. And if white tried playing something like R8, you can play a diagonal. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and play that out. So let's say this happened. What can you tell about black? Tell me about this group, those three, Q7, and the enclosure. Okay. It definitely is a wall. B is pushing up. Okay. Yeah, that is definitely true. The word I was looking for is connected. All of these stones are connected. Yes, and D has the corner. All of these groups definitely have their own thing about each other. A has the wall. The three B stones are pushing white up. D is keeping the corner. C is preventing the R8 stone to try pushing in. But the key word is that all of them are connected. So all of them are connected. Let's say white tried to do something about that. So now black is really solid and for sure connected. Does black have two eyes? Yes, he has two eyes. It is very clear that he has two eyes. He's got like 50 eyes in there. So it is okay to... You don't have to necessarily play really close in order to make those eyes. You can spread out and make a wall so you can have multiple eyes and territory. Let's see, what's a good metaphor for this? I can't think of anything right now. Where is that? Does that make sense? Okay, that's good. Okay, good. So it's also like the concept of a wall, that you do not want to play really close to your wall because it'll just look over concentrated. It'll look pointless. But I'll talk about that sort of thing out at a later time. But yeah, so I understand the being conserved and wanting to make sure that you're solid, but if you imagine the board to look like this, or at least something similar, like if you were to imagine a wall, then to imagine a wall coming out of this move, or something similar, then you can see that it's not going to be very easy for white to get rid of eyes. You'll have plenty of room to make eyes, and your stones are connected. Okay? Is there anything that you question or still have doubts about when it comes to this? All right. And of course, at a later time, we can definitely talk about it if something is still going on. I definitely do want to talk about these two. Specifically, these three moves. M11, O8, and R9. So, playing M11, one of its purposes is to help with the top, and as well as possibly hoping to cut white off. So this is an okay move, although it does contradict your idea of wanting to defend your bottom. But yeah, it does help and give the idea of the top. Although when white plays here and you play here, now you're saying that you want to do something down here and on the right. And then with C, now you're saying that you don't care about the O8 stone and that you want the right side, which also contradicts what you were saying with this stone. So what I'm trying to say is all three of these stones, yeah, exactly, it's just chaos. None of them are speaking to each other. They're not helping each other. So if white plays this, we can play this. And it will help to develop the bottom, as well as the right side. If white were to play this, then you could play this, or this, to help build the top and the right side. Because now the bottom is okay, and the top and right side should look pretty good for black. Yeah, I know I said no knight's moves. Let's see. How to word this? Know what knight's moves when it comes to making walls. There we go. With okay, that's definitely fair. Let's see, with this, would you prefer this? That, and so forth. Yeah, exactly, Guess. That is the thought that I am trying to get out of my head that I couldn't get out. So you can do knight's moves, but it must be connected. It must be connected. Like, let's say that white played here, and then you wanted to play the knight's move. Definitely looks okay. Because if white tried to cut black off, you can fight it. Well, then again, there's still a cut there. Let me see. Better outcome than that. Well, maybe this, because it's still threatening these three stones. But yeah, just like what Guest had just pointed out, yeah, knight's moves are okay as long as you are connected, and if the cut isn't too severe. Exactly, yeah, it definitely looked a little better than what had happened in the game. Yeah, definitely, just like what Quest had also mentioned. The tighter, the more thick, the more stones that are attached to each other into a big group, you want to stay solid and either do simple extensions or one space jumps, anything to stay connected. And thank you, guest, for those remarks. And I am open to anyone talking into the chat or asking questions. I am more than willing to answer those. Yeah. So you understand this a little more? I don't want to spend too much time on too many of these ideas. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so why did you play L8? I mean, you already had a stone. Okay, that's fair. I mean, you can right here you can see that playing 06 is really big because it is surrounding the Q7 and Q8 stones. So you don't really want to let those stones go. But when you play here and white takes those stones, it allows white to save the stones, capture some stones, while playing the L7 and L8, it doesn't do black very much. It gets 1 point. So try to think big. Just like with taking the bigger piece of lasagna. You want to go big. Take the whole pan of lasagna. No, that'd be too greedy. Take half the pan of pizza, pizza or lasagna. Take as much as you can. Like this, you have a huge corner with this kind of result. But this is just an example of what can happen with how things are right now. But if those 3 stones were a little better suited, then it... Yeah. We can definitely talk more about bigger moves with time. Because I definitely can understand how you may not be able to see the bigger moves quite yet. This thing seems to be quite the thing in this game. With just like what I had mentioned with the D9, you don't want to leave a problem. You don't want to leave weakness open. You don't want to leave yourself wide open and let someone beat you up. Or keep poking you or doing something that you don't want someone to do. You want to keep to one idea. You want to keep strong. You want 1 or 2 or 3 ideas that are together. What I'm trying to say with this is that you've got a lot of weakness. You've got a lot of open potential. Like P5 protects your bottom. There's no way that white will be able to get in there if you were to play P5. On the top, there's nothing white can do, except maybe play Q10. There's nothing white can do on the top if you were to play there. But you want to keep to the right side. You like to wander around, but we'll definitely work on that with time. Because I can definitely understand how it may not be clear at the current time. And that's okay. That's why I'm showing you and being here to help you with reviewing and helping out with that. Let's see. I mean, like with this move, I understand why you're playing it, because you don't want white to possibly live in that area. But honestly, there's nothing white can do up there, so you don't have to play 016. You can go ahead and play this move, because now this whole left side is huge, or you could play that. But probably the left side, because that is huge. You've got two good corners, and the right side is, yeah. But yeah, it's generally this. It was those three stones that really let all of this happen on this right side. Those three stones. You always, all stones are saying something. Let them speak. And if I just wanted to say that. But definitely just take that lasagna, take that territory, take it. Take it. Unless it's too small, then take it. Well, then don't take it. But definitely take the big stuff. Like here, play here. Definitely play here. Because like what white should have done is play here. It's still a good reduction for white. And can play here. You don't have to worry about those few stones on the right side, because there's nothing white can do. Actually, kind of like the conversation, the teaching games that I had yesterday, just count liberties. How often do you think about liberties? Or how important do you think liberties are? Okay. Well, let's think about more of liberties than point counting. Because yeah, I'm not talking about point counting. I'm just thinking liberties. I mean, yeah, that's okay, and I understand that. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but with possibly, yeah, I understand that. Then let's go ahead and just practice with smaller things like this. Okay, I definitely can understand that. We will go ahead and just keep to the smaller things until we can go a little bigger. And we can definitely go over some Go problems or something that have to do with liberties, because I know there are definitely some Go problems that specifically talk about liberties. So let's go ahead and look at the white group, the S5 and S6. How many liberties does it have? Yeah, it has two. Very simple. How many does the S7 stone have? Three. So it has more liberties than those two stones. If your number is bigger than your opponent, it's not likely that he will be able to capture the stones. Not likely. And just like on the other side, it also has three liberties, and those three stones also have three liberties. So all of black has three liberties minimum, and white has two. So you were saying that you were worried about R7 or T7. Okay, that's okay. So let's go ahead and start with T7. White has still two liberties, black only has 2 liberties now. But this is okay. One possibility is this. White only has 1 liberty now. And with this, white will be captured. The same thing also works here, because you still have 2 liberties, and he also has 2 liberties. But if he tries an Atari, you can easily keep another extra liberty and capture those 2 stones. Is this a little helpful for you? A little more to understand? Okay, good. And if you try to tarring from the other direction, it's just basically the same thing. So, so in this position, you do not have to play anything. Oh, and if white played R7, then you can just take T6. No worries there either, because you have more liberties. As long as you have more liberties, you are okay. If it's the same amount of liberties, then you do want to do something. Alright. At later times, I will talk a little more to help with that, but I think that will be enough for the talk on liberties with that little area. That's good. These were okay. I do want to say also that you can play here. There's nothing that white can really do. Almost still the same thing as liberties. I mean, that white stone has 1 liberty and the other one has 2, while black has 3, so there's nothing really to worry about there. If white were to just connect, then you can just take. No worries there. Let's see. These are okay. Quite a few smaller moves compared to the left side, but I can still definitely understand. But that left side is huge. Here's another thing. You want to try looking at the whole board. Yeah, I keep bringing up that left side, but it's huge. It is the biggest part of the board right now. Nothing of black is in danger right now. All of black's groups are alive, and yeah, it's really huge. Definitely a good idea, but the 3-3 doesn't necessarily work. You could play this. Or, well, no, probably not an attachment like that. But with this, there's not enough room. Unless you maybe did something like that. But still, probably really hard with your current position. So maybe just threaten to go for the corner and then elsewhere. Well, try not to get split. Just stay simple, and with something like this, try not to live in a small space. Just try to make the opponent's space smaller. Just try to make them smaller. With this, the corner lives. And white still needs to do something here. And white probably won't even live at all here. So, Although I still understand that you can't necessarily read more than a few moves ahead, and that's okay. We'll definitely be working on that. Although probably should play this. Probably this instead of e5, because it keeps black connected. So, stay connected, and you should be okay. And this is good. So you did end up living on the left side. You can play this. This is okay. Eventually, yeah. Finally, the left side has been resolved. But he tried killing you, which wasn't going to turn out. Here, I would say go for the ko. You have nothing to lose with that right side. And although at this point there aren't too many ko threats. Yeah. Technically not ko because there aren't many threats for black. So yeah. No ko. Never mind. So you could just connect and do that. Oh, duh. Duh. I am thinking too much elsewhere. Thank you, Quest. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Now I feel stupid for just not thinking about that. I should. I'm a AJ Tudon. But yes. This definitely works for black. Definitely not a ko. If white connects, black takes. Comes here, then black goes there. Yeah. I mean, it is my own fault for missing that. And I should feel stupid about that. I just need to play more games. I've only played a limited number of games this whole year. Yeah, I know it's not the end of the world, for sure. I mean, everyone does it, you know. I just feel stupid. It's what I do. So, I mean, yeah, this is also a reading thing, which you had said probably not one of your good things. Alright, that's what I love to hear. That is what I love to hear. So we will definitely get you reading when it comes to this, which also has to do with liberties. So it's a combination of the both. So we'll definitely talk about it later when we get you more into, when we talk more about both liberties and reading separately. So like working on reading at one point, working on liberties at one point, and then eventually bringing them together. So that's what we'll do sometime. Oh, and you managed to live in that corner. Cool. And it looks like... Oh, that's right. So, at this point, white should have resigned, because the bottom shouldn't live. What can you tell me about the white group on the bottom? Yes, it is cut off. Tell me about the eyes. How many eyes does white have? One. It has one. How would white need Well, where would the half be? Where is the half? Because O1 isn't an I, it's just a simple liberty spot, Dame spot. Yeah. Again, I just feel stupid. Yeah, it's just a false I. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. So, white has the one I and a false I at O1. And, I mean, in the end, white did live. Let's see. It was after this. These moves were okay. That was a good move as well. Here you can just take. No need to connect at T3. If it's an Atari, you can just take it. But it's here. It was here that you let him live. Because he's got the one I here. And L1 is threatening to make the I at M1. And how do we keep it a false I? Because in the game you played K1. Yeah, L2. Yep, L2. L2 makes it a false I. So now white has one I and a false I there and there. So at this point, white is just dead. There's nothing that white can do. White is just dead. And do you understand that? Are you able to see that it's dead? Okay, good. Okay, yeah, good. So when you had played this, it allowed white to live. And there were multiple times when R1 could have been played instead of some of the smaller things. And it's because you took R1 that you lived. I mean, that you won the game by that 2.5 points. Definitely the big part of the game, outside letting white live on the bottom. So we can definitely work on life and death as well. So, yeah, definitely working on life and death, which going more into eyes, false eyes, and so forth, which also has to do with liberties, but eventually we'll get all of that connected into one at a later time. I don't believe I have anything else I want to say about endgame, because it's just other stuff. That's true. Yeah, there's nothing major to worry about with the end game. And yeah, so it's those few things. So, and also with all of my teaching games and reviews and answering questions, I like going over everything. Oh, that's fine. It happens. Yeah, apparently they didn't. Whoops. That's the edit. I do not want the edit. I want the score. Okay, with that, it would have been by 6.5 points. Okay. Alright. So what I had... Continuing with what I had said just a moment ago, I like to just briefly go over the things mentioned in the game, because with this, there was quite a bit that we talked about, such as the Chinese, instead of playing 2, 3, 4 stones facing each other. We also talked about this move, how it's too deep, and that you want to make sure to have enough space to jump out with a 2-space jump in both directions. We also talked about this metaphor of having a personal bubble and doing something about it instead of leaving the matter to just happen. And this knight's move, just simple connection when it comes to thick groups like the white group. And also simple point taking, because this is big, this is big, well, that works too, but that area is big, playing over here is big, while G9 almost has no purpose. Yeah. I mean, we'll get that fixed up in no time. And at later times, I'll also discuss a little more about what happened at the top with Gote to nuking, all of this weird and interesting things that happened. We'll talk about that at later times. And taking the opportunity to get as much as you can out of your mistakes, like this Atari here. To take that K14 stone so it is not as easy for white to reduce anymore, at least on that top area. Just simply gaining as much as you can with what you have, as long as it's Sentai. And once again, Liberty, and we talked about this a little bit. And you can always rewatch, well, look over everything that we talked about, because I am recording this and will be putting it on YouTube for you to look at whenever you want, as well as for new players to watch and learn from as well. And the other thing was these three stones not correlating with anything else. You want to try to keep simple and keep the stones working together. As well as keeping simple and taking as much lasagna or pizza or whatever food you like as possible. And then some of the smaller things like these. And then, last but not least, the left side, as well as the liberties, not liberties, life and death of eyes. Okay? Do you have any questions or anything that you would like to go over that I did not go over or talk about? Alright, sweet. That was an hour and a half long, but that's okay. You are very welcome. Let's see. That should be it for this game then. Let's go ahead and save me talking while you're playing game to another time, because I'm going to have this video to edit and needing a little break, as well as possibly me needing to get a game in, since I just need to get more games in. Yeah, it was definitely fun with some of these other guys around here. Yeah, that's another thing. You did miss that, JoJo. You missed that. It's a point. Oh. No, never mind. But yeah. Definitely missed that too. All right. Well, KGS counted the H12 as a point. It just automatically does unless J11 is filled by black. All right. Let's see. Are you a new player, Brain Crash? Or are you just here visiting along with Quest? Who apparently is also not one of the newer players. Oh, you're also a Dawn? Okay. Never mind then. I should be a Dawn, but I'm still KGS 1Q. I'm AGA 2 Dawn, but I beat AGA 5 Dawns, 4 Dawns, and yeah. I just need to play more. That's my weakness. I need to play more. So if anyone that's in here or watching knows someone that wants to learn and get better and is really serious about it, then have them talk to me and I will talk to them about it. Either with this account or my main account, Austin101. This account just has the audio. It's my teacher's account. So, that is that. I think I shall go ahead and take a small break. Hey, Koyo. And Koyo just left. I'll just leave it at that. Good night for you. Still afternoon for me. And I will see you next time. And I am glad that you learned quite a bit from this. And thank you all for that participated. Thank you for participating and asking questions. And I will see you guys later. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I am definitely going to keep going on with this. And yeah. And let me know what you not that one. Let me know what you think about the setup that I have right now. I really like this setup. Even though, yeah, that one, even though the chat was kind of covering my hand, I like this picture. I think it's a really nice setup there. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. You know what, now I'm not copying Markiplier. So, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from this, and I will see you next time. Later.